How often do you think about the Oscars? About how many Oscar winning films there are and how many you've seen? Yeah, there's a few famous Oscar winning films that we've all seen, The Godfather and Lord of the Rings and Titanic, I'm King of the World, all that stuff. But the Oscars have been running since 1927. There are currently over 1,000 films, feature length films, which have won an Oscar. How many have you seen? I did the numbers for myself. It's not many, and I consider myself quite a movie buff. So here then is the premise of this podcast. Every episode, I and a rotating cast of two guests will randomly select one of the 1,000 films that have won an Oscar, watch it, and talk about it, with the only requirement being that one of the three people on each episode has to have never seen the movie before we talk about it. That will get difficult with Star Wars. Please note that our coverage of a movie does not constitute an endorsement of it. My least favorite movie of 2016, David Ayer's Suicide Squad, won an Oscar for Best Makeup, while my favorite movie of 2016, The Handmaiden, wasn't even nominated for anything. Please also note that our coverage of a movie is not a blanket endorsement of any or all of the people involved in it. A lot of terrible people have won Oscars. Kevin Spacey won an Oscar 20 years before he was outed as an abuser, and Roman Polanski won one 20 years after. But every film, good, bad, or in many cases mediocre, that has won an Oscar is an important part of film history just for being there. And they all, on some level, deserve a tiny bit of consideration, even if that consideration ends up concluding that it's garbage. And with all of that in mind, I'm your host, Ellie McConaughey, and with me today is Shamila and
Cue the sound of me yeeing the box of chocolates into Lake Ontario. Listen, Canada fought against Manifest Destiny for a reason.
and Krissy.
I don't like shrimp.
I feel like Bubba would not appreciate you then.
Well, he's dead.
That's true, he is dead. And today, we are here to discuss Forrest Gump, the 1994 Robert Zemeckis film that inexplicably won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Film Editing, and Best Visual Effects at the 67th Academy Awards. And just on that note, usually when a movie has like a reevaluation section in its Wikipedia on like its critical response, usually that means like, oh yeah, this movie wasn't well received, but we're picking up what it's putting down later on. And this movie is one of the few examples I've seen where everyone's like, yeah, we kind of fucked up on liking that one, huh?
You can just hear the stunned silence. Because
Yeah.
I think both of us are first time watchers.
Are you, Krissy?
No, I'm not. Okay. Prior to this recording, I actually liked the movie. And after this recording, I'm a little between thoughts.
Oh no!
It's interesting that it's like, it feels like such an adult film, because I feel like if you see this movie when you're a kid, you might vibe with it. As an adult, I only watched it when I was like 20, and as an adult, I've never been able to stand this movie.
Yeah, as a token Canadian in the room, like, prior to watching this, I've only ever heard of it in relation to, like, any sort of media talking about Tom Hanks will inevitably bring this up as an example of his filmography. And that was especially true in the 90s when I was growing up. And, like, I'd see GIF sets of it occasionally on my Tumblr dash, especially the He's Smart scene.
I mean, this is the source of one of the two Oscars that Tom Hanks has, the other being Philadelphia from the year before. Oh, they really just gave him two Oscars back to back, huh? I feel like my opinion on this movie was not a surprise to anyone, including the listeners. As if you're a first time listener, for January, I get to pick the movies we cover, and one of them has to be a movie I love, and one of them has to be a movie I hate, and I fucking hate this movie. It's just so much all the time. I sort of felt like listening to you talk about it, Krissy, that you were gonna sort of be our defender, but I get the sense that's not the case.
I like this movie for the same reason that I like the 3DS. I know it's a bit of a wild comparison.
No, go on.
I think, in the end, it's a gimmick movie. The whole gimmick is that they took Tom Hanks and they used some at the time really well done visual effects to stick him into historical scenes, and that was the whole bit of the movie. And I think in that way it was really well done. And as a child at the time, that was what I had remembered the most. Looking back, they didn't really use that aspect to showcase some very good things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, our director, Robert Zemeckis, he's a very famous director. He's probably on the short list of directors that like your average person could be expected to know. And part of that is because he is a very technically focused director. He likes to pioneer new things. You know, he did Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Death Becomes Her, and you know, he and in about a decade after this movie, he's going to completely lose his mind and spend a decade making weird CGI animated movies like The Polar Express.
I forgot about the Polar Express.
But like, and there is stuff in this movie that like, okay, so I try to be fair to the insert footage. I have to imagine it looked a lot better in lower definition. The mouth flaps on certain people, they go up and down with how convincing they are. Lyndon Johnson in particular just
Yeah.
he looks like the fucking Snyder cut.
I'm pretty sure it's actually just how he looked.
I mean, it's pretty accurate considering.
No, he looks like what I mean, he looks like Superman in the original cut of Justice League where they had to CGI out his mustache.
There was a mustache?
Don't worry about it. But like the effects to erase Gary Sinise's legs, I think those have aged very well. It's a very convincing effect, and I think it uses it well. You know, I actually think that Dan is one of the more interesting characters in the movie. It is kind of a shame that he goes through the final stretch of his character arc basically off screen.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually wondering, Ellie,
Mm-hmm.
what's well, for both of you, what's your take on the casting for Lieutenant Dan not really being inclusive towards that?
Oh, I mean, it's definitely a 90s casting thing. Well, especially back then, because they definitely weren't going to cast a disabled actor.
It's one of those things that's a little complicated. I would compare it to the casting of a non-disabled actress to play. And if you listen to the Beetlejuice episode, I'm going to tell you to can it. But to play Elphaba's sister on the Wicked Broadway show, because the plot in the second half requires her to stand up, which kind of means that you can't have an actress who's actually like unable to stand up in that role.
Mm-hmm.
But once they could in the movie, when they could actually use effects to do that, they did. And like, so the question becomes, do they use effects to make a disabled person walk when Lieutenant Dan can walk, or do they go the other way? And I don't know if there's a good answer to that, or if they just change actors halfway through the movie, which would be odd.
With the visual effects back then, it probably wouldn't be possible. But there was a TV show like maybe a decade back where they did cast a disabled actress, and to play her as like pre-disability, like her standing up without being in a wheelchair, they did use like a body double and they CGI'd her face onto the person. Oh, I don't know if they could have pulled it off for this.
You might have like the complexity of a lot of the technical achievements in this film is a lot of this is stuff that Zemeckis had been working on to one degree or another for decades. Like, the whole insert your character into history thing was something he did on his first movie. I Want to Hold Your Hand is about a bunch of people trying to get to the famous, Beatles performance at the Ed Sullivan Show. And when they're there, they use a mix of archive footage, body doubles, and creative camera angles to hide the fact that they obviously don't have the actual Beatles there. Although I think, were they still alive back then? It was what, 78? Yeah, they were all still alive. They could have gotten 40-year-old John Lennon to. No, they couldn't have. He couldn't stand to be in the same room as Paul McCartney.
Well, Paul, that wasn't Paul though. Paul died.
Oh, that's true. Right.
Allegedly.
Sorry, I keep forgetting that. Allegedly.
You know what? That would have redeemed this movie if they had like an entire section of it talking about how Paul might or might not have died.
Honestly, I would have preferred that to Lennon because, well, I don't know. I don't really know much about the Beatles, but a lot of what I know about John is pretty iffy.
So John did suck as a person. That's not really up for debate. But also at this point, like, I'm not really. It's not really interesting to rehash it anymore. John Lennon at this point has been dead longer than he was ever alive. It's which is also kind of a shame. I find the inclusion of John Lennon interesting because, like, man, I don't get what the deal is with, like, except for Lyndon Johnson and arguably even him, every single famous person Forrest meets a horrible end. Like, what's up with that, Robert? What's the deal there? I don't get what you're trying to say there.
It's like, I don't know. It kind of feels like Forrest is kind of living on a high in reality, and like because that reality it can't sort of touch him in the way that it does with other people. That's why we have like Bubba die. We have Jenny die eventually.
Man, the way this movie treats Jenny.
Yeah.
Okay, so since it was your first time watching it, Shammy, I'm curious, what did you get the vibe? Like, they don't specify in the movie, but get based on like the time period, what vibe did you get for how Jenny dies? Like what she has?
Um, it's probably hepatitis C because I know that she was like sharing needles and stuff back when she was doing drugs
Okay.
back in the 60s, and it could be the fallout from it. And I know during during like the 80s they hadn't identified hepatitis C yet.
In the book, apparently, and I haven't read the book, I'm given to understand it's a little bit more satirical, which I don't know what that means in this context. I've tried approaching this film as a satire. I don't think it works as a satire.
Well, Jenny didn't actually die in the book. Well, I didn't read the book, but I did look up a lot of details, and it's pretty bug nuts.
In the book, she apparently dies from Hep C.
But that's in the sequel. There's a sequel to this book.
I fascinating. The vibe I got and what a couple of the filmmakers have said they were going for is that she dies from AIDS.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, that is really iffy. That's really iffy.
Yeah, for some reason I thought that I remembered when watching the movie before that they made it more clear that that's what it was. But no, it was really left up in the air. I'm surprised.
So, like, the premise of a lot of Forrest Gump is it's kind of a Flashman story. I referenced Flashman in our Barry Lyndon episode, which my guests haven't heard yet because it's not coming out until after we record this. But Flashman is a story of a drunk, horned up asshole stumbling his way through major historical events and living and gaining a bunch of money and glory off them through a mix of abject cowardice and constant lying. And that's a very popular plot setup, but Forrest is so oblivious to what's going on and such a I don't want to say a nice person because I do actually have some like some major irritations with how he's characterized on that front.
He's detached almost.
So like one of the problems I ran into on this viewing is they have to keep like, and I mentioned this to Shammy before we started, that they have to keep like moving his intelligence level up and down basically to keep him from putting two and two together of why Jenny fucking hates being around her dad and how much distress she's in being just back in that town. And because if it clicks what he's asking her when he asks her to like live with him and marry him, he's a bad person. So they have to keep him innocent about that. But then at other times he does seem to grok similarly dark subjects reasonably well. Like it's weird. It's a weird characterization. And I'm also not going to say that like the the premise of your lead character not understanding what the fuck is going on is not an entirely meritless one. Like one of my favorite book series is The Locked Tomb. Take a shot if you're doing the Ellie drinking game. And the main characters are in order a jock who got invited to a science competition, a 19-year-old girl with trauma trying to keep up with a bunch of 10,000-year-old demigods, and also she has a partial frontal lobotomy, and a 6-month-old in the middle of a terrorist cell. So none of them ever really know what the fuck is going on, but that's part of the mystery. Forrest not understanding what's going on around him just honestly starts to become really frustrating to me as a viewer. Does that make sense?
I mean, it kind of does. Like, part of the thing for me is like it. A lot of his like obliviousness is tied into his intelligence and like his mental faculties. Like, I know they wanted to go like the naive, simple guy, because it's supposed to be a direct opposite of how he's portrayed in the book. Like, he was pretty much like an angry, violent redneck, and it might be a lateral move in some cases, but I feel like it course corrected too far in the opposite direction, and this is the result of that.
I kind of almost wonder if like so that sort of paints Forrest as a lot more a lot less sympathetic than he's supposed to be portrayed in the movie. And I kind of wonder if like Robert Zemeckis was a little gun shy on making an unpleasant lead character after his previous movie Death Becomes Her kind of got like raked over the coals for having a pair of selfish bastards as its leads. I love Death Becomes Her, by the way. Don't come at me,
Mm-hmm.
audience.
Yeah, but I think the problem is having have Forrest as an angry white Southern man, especially in a time period where we have people like in a truck with the Confederate flag blazing across it.
Actually, that was the Alabama flag.
No, I thought it was the Confederate flag.
Alabama flag is pretty much the Confederate flag, but no, it's different. I swear, I'm not making it up.
As I said, token Canadian.
No, she's right. She's right. The Alabama flag is in fact quite similar to the Confederate flag.
Yeah, I'm suddenly concerned.
I think they only just recently changed it, but yeah, it was that for a really long while.
Go Alabama.
Woo. I think that I know it's not redeeming per se, but I'm gonna be all right. I'm happy with it because they showed enough restraint compared to just making it a one for one ish adaptation of the book. They at least knew when to take parts of it seriously. Because if you've read the book, and I don't know if either of you have,
I read enough details. Okay, I know the part where he had a career as a professional wrestler, a chess player.
yeah,
There was even a part where he
What?
worked as a cotton farmer for cannibals after crash landing in New Guinea.
What?
and there was the part,
The orangutan named Sue. There's also an orangutan named Sue.
and then they went to space together while he worked at NASA because he knew enough math,
Yeah.
and then they were homeless together.
And then we had a thing where Forrest was working with Raquel Welch in a remake of The Creature from the Black Lagoon that didn't pan out.
Yeah. So I'm happy that they didn't adapt all of that. They stayed grounded.
Unfortunately, no.
I can't tell if you're lying to me.
No, that's sorry, I didn't hear your bit. Oh no, I finished what I was saying. I just talked over you so you could piece it together.
I can edit it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll fix it in post.
Editing Ellie here, and I did.
No, yeah, like that sounds insane. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Forrest Gump's orangutan Sue will now haunt my nightmares. No, like part of the problem honestly is that like half the movie is incredibly goofy. Like everything about the ping pong stuff is just so goofy. And then it has these like genuinely really harrowing scenes, like Bubba's death.
Yeah.
With Forrest like G Garsh narration wandering in, kind of killing the mood. I have in my notes the scene where the following up a kind of doofy scene where Jenny is a topless folk singer with Jenny contemplating suicide is like,
Oh, yeah.
bestie, what tone is this? I mean, like, I guess I haven't read the book.
Although now I kind of want to. It sounds a little bit like Riverdale, in which
The thing is, Jenny doesn't die in the book. She doesn't die in the book. Like it
good
ends
for her.
like it ends with like her reunite. Okay, she does reunite with Forrest, and she does introduce him to their son. But Forrest chooses not to be a part of his son's life because Jenny's already married to someone else.
Huh.
So I'm curious about the change to like have them end up together here, even if it's just for a little while before she dies. Like, is it a sense of closure or?
I actually have good news for you, Ellie.
Go ahead.
I know you said earlier, everyone that he meets in the movie comes to some grisly end.
Yep.
In the book, he actually saves some people.
Yeah.
Notably, he saves the founder of the People's Republic of China.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I am fascinated by this book. I think I have to read it now. You fucking did this to me.
Just be careful of like phonetic accents. It haunts the narrative.
I can endure that, y'all. I mean, like, if we're talking about doofy accents, I don't know how accurate Forrest Gump's, like Tom Hanks' fake accent is.
Well, I know that Tom was imitating the child actor, like the child actor who was playing his younger self, his accent, and he has a like really deep I don't know which part of the South he was from, but that was authentic. So he spent like 3 days like using, and he went through some really unusable footage to try to imitate that.
Interesting. But like his portrayal of like they kind of go back and they kind of never really like specify if he's actually mentally challenged or just kind of stupid.
They only say that his IQ is 70.
Right, but IQ is made up racist bullshit. So we don't count that.
Exactly. And I do know like he's implied to have like the scoliosis in like that scene where he's being fitted with leg braces. But we literally just throws off that disability when he's running.
It's extremely funny to me. Like there are several scenes in here which are intended to be some degree of moving or exciting.
But it comes off as absurd.
Yeah, like the leg brace scene genuinely got an extremely loud laugh out of me.
No, I mean, this movie it was so heterosexual that it straightened his own back.
It is an extremely heterosexual movie. It's how do I if someone else talk, I'm gathering my thoughts.
Yeah, I could just read through my notes of like what we currently have. Like where did I leave off? Okay.
I mean, like the being an extremely heterosexual movie means that it's heterosexual, but it's also kind of like very. It's not just heterosexual; it's kind of cowardly. Like the bit where Forrest's mic cuts out when he's talking about Vietnam
Oh
really
yeah.
struck me as like a. So you just really don't want him to have a point of view, is what you're telling me, Robert.
Mm-hmm. And we don't even really know what he says. Like Tom Hanks says that the whole speech was about like some people want to come home to their mamas, and some people come home without their legs. Some people don't come back at all. That's all I have to say. Is pretty much the whole gist of it.
I had another observation I want. Oh, there's my observation. I guess if Jenny dies from AIDS, there's a risk that her son might have it, which means that
Yes. Oh.
which means that he might have to go to Texas, where Walker will tell him he has AIDS.
Oh God.
I was watching with Zandy, or like Zandy was like drifting in and out as we were watching, and Zandy sees like Forrest Gump's kid for like 3 seconds. Is like, is that Haley Joel Osment?
It is.
Yes, it is.
This is his film debut.
I did not know that until after I watched the movie. It's very funny.
He's unfortunately what makes this at least a degree 4.
Fascinating.
I'm gonna do a bit. Give me a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
I gotta fact check myself first. Just give me
Only
few
factually
seconds.
accurate bits here.
I need my bit to be factually accurate. I'm sorry. I gotta remember what the name of the show Haley Joel Osment was again.
Is it not Walker, Texas? Was he not in Walker, Texas
No,
Ranger?
he was.
Okay.
Obviously, he was only in 2 episodes, but what was the one he was in where he was the psychic?
The Sixth Sense?
No, it wasn't The Sixth Sense. I thought there was a TV series.
I'm looking. Oh man, that's right. He was an AI.
Oh yeah.
Good movie. He was in Touched by an Angel. Fascinating. Fascinating. I've never really thought about.
I looked up and the result is, oh, he was in Wednesday season 2.
Oh
It's
yeah.
not what I meant. Alright, I don't think my bit's gonna work, so don't worry about it. I was gonna say, well, he was in this show. You couldn't predict that this movie was terrible, though.
Uh,
Uh,
He didn't have that sort of sixth sense.
he was in Wednesday season 2.
apparently.
I saw every episode of that, and I don't remember him at all. But my opinion on that show is well founded. I'm just trying to like. It's a hard to talk about movie because it's like so slippery.
I know. It's like, for me, this was like a crash course on American history because I'm not familiar with a lot of it like you guys are. But it's probably one of the most glorified examples I've seen of that. It's like, what's that David Lynch trope that's Ellie so fond of? Beneath all the shiny American surface is a underbelly of horrific history.
Just like horror and nightmares lurking beneath the placid surface. Yeah.
Yeah, especially with all the Vietnam War stuff. Like, most of my knowledge of that stems from Eartha Kitt's anti-war statements during the White House incident and the fact that Lady Bird Johnson blacklisted her. Which, if you haven't seen the Drunk History episode with Tessa Thompson as Eartha Kitt, I highly recommend it. But even I know that they gloss over a lot of the ugliness and reality of war.
I mean, that's just like that is like it or lump it. The nature of American propaganda is to try to treat war as if it were more glorious than it actually is. Actually, what was kind of striking me about the way it portrays history is in a lot of ways, especially given like the time period and the length of time it takes place over and when it ends, it kind of feels like a film version of We Didn't Start the Fire, which boomer nostalgia, I guess, pays the bills. It's a very boomer movie, especially in that it kind of flirts with being leftist sometime, but ends up, in my opinion, extremely conservative, which is that's the boomer shuffle, everybody.
Yeah, I appreciate that it tried to, keyword tried. It tried to show, left of my own joke. I appreciate that it at least tried to showcase the two different sides, but they really portrayed leftists as idiots, which sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And the way the film treats Jenny and her like attempts at political activism or like improving her life are just so like mean.
Yeah, she's really being down by the narrative, especially since a lot of her actions read as trying to run away from her trauma.
Yeah. If you view it from like her perspective, a lot of this movie's like horrible, but I guess that's often the case with movies like this. I don't know, like I think Robin Wright's extremely good in it. I will admit that like all of the actors are very good. I do genuinely think Gary Sinise is doing a lot of good work, and Tom Hanks is doing great work with the material he's given. I think he's any power that Forrest Gump has, I think, comes from him absolutely putting his whole ass into this his whole ass with a bullet and everything into this performance.
Like, he even, like, when they went drastically over budget, I know that Tom Hanks and Robert Zemeckis, they pulled together all their money in order to shoot that, like, cross country run sequence. It's like, it's probably, yeah, it definitely, Tom, you needed like to have a better use for your money, but
That's the sequence they pulled all their money together for. Because like, if I had to say one sequence that could be just hucked out of the movie with no consequence, I would say the running sequence. It's such an absurd sequence, frankly. Like, okay, Forrest is just gonna run for 3 years to no consequence. Cool.
yeah, and he does that precisely because Jenny leaves.
I mean, that's one of those things that's like kind of thematically interesting. There's a lot of thematically interesting elements of the movie that mostly just kind of get left on the table. Like the premise that someone as unthinking as Forrest is the ideal soldier because all he does is what people tell him to do is kind of funny. It's kind of an interesting element of satire, but then they just kind of like drop it after two jokes. You could replace that with the football subplot, and like the joke would stay the same.
Mm. Though I did kind of laugh when Forrest literally ran over the marching band in the football one.
That shit, the moments where the movie is just being an out and out comedy, those are my favorite moments in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tom Hanks is a funny guy. I think Robert Zemeckis knows how to direct comedy, but I think it kind of falls down when it has to be serious.
I don't know, the way he was directing this, it kind of felt like he was trying to set up Forrest as some sort of like American folktale hero. Like I have it here in my notes. Like it's further down. Like the thing is that kind of characterization. If you want to make someone an American folk hero, that kind of thing best works in a heightened reality where everyone has some level of eccentricity or in the mindset of, oh, there goes Forrest again, like it's some sort of uninteresting event. But you can't have that heightened reality that's connected to real life historical events, and you can't have Forrest be the only one operating in that heightened reality, which that's the whole reason why Lewis Satcher books work so well. Like Forrest Gump is no Maniac McGee.
I think that if it was a little bit more like dreamlike or fairy tale like, you could play Forrest off as like, I mean, I was about to say a cryptid, but you're right, like a Paul Bunyan or a Davy Crockett kind of character. But you know, those parts would work good. There's just a lot of stuff that's like kind of weird or unpleasant or just kind of like, this movie's got a thing about women. What the fuck is up with the Forrest mom fucks the principal to get him into normal school
Oh God.
beat? What's going on there, Robert?
Yeah, it's so messed up.
He was a progressive man.
True.
Mm. So Mama Gump, you're like you naming your kid after like the Grand Wizard of the KKK. Like, I know what your reasons were, but not everyone else is gonna know. And the fact that Forrest is telling this to, like, the really weirded out black lady on the bench, that's, like, so tone deaf.
I like that lady. Him going off talking about her shoes for like 2 minutes straight, and her just responding, "My feet hurt." Very good. Got a real laugh out of me. I mean, I guess I keep like saying Robert Zemeckis. I suppose I do have to shotgun some of these complaints at screenwriter Eric Roth, who has had quite an interesting career, if I'm being for real. Like, on the one hand, he has The Curious Case of Benjamin Button or Killers of the Flower Moon, the Dune movies, the most recent version of A Star Is Born. On the other hand, there's The Postman. There's Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. Concord, Airport 79. Fascinating. My point is that, like, we should probably, like, at least a little bit blame him. He did write the thing.
Yeah, but the only reason he wrote the thing is because they called him in to rewrite the script because, well, Book Forrest was portrayed as having savant syndrome, and yeah, it's not better than the likes of Rayman, but Warner Brothers apparently lost interest in doing Forrest Gump altogether because they just came off of doing Rain Man.
What? We're gonna go ahead and not spend time thinking or talking about the difference in like the which one is Rain Man or Forrest Gump better to portraying the mentally disabled. We're
No!
not going to talk about that. We're just stepping around that conversation.
Like, I do not trust, like, neurotypical people to write anything accurate about, like, intellectual disabilities or the likes of that. I don't trust them.
I would argue that okay, this is I'm this can be a very very strong thing for me to say with no experience. I think as long as a piece of media isn't portraying it as something inherently bad, I think any portrayal is better than Forrest Gump. Because in Forrest, it's only when it's convenient for it.
Uh-huh. But in like definitely kind of leads into inspiration porn sometimes, especially when they were using him as the mascot for certain things, like especially when him like him representing America in ping pong against China. It's just it's like there's so many things that are iffy about it that I cannot untangle.
I feel like that should have been the moment where at least someone higher up in the government went like, "Wait, this motherfucker again?
Yes.
What do you mean the fucking ping pong guy has a $1 billion shrimp industry now?"
Like I didn't think that the old men in the barber shop who were watching TV whenever Forrest was on it. I thought that was going to be a recurring thing throughout the movie, but it's like very sporadic.
It's really just like a reaction shot to whatever's going on, which is it's something. I don't know. Like, it is once again a bunch of stuff just kind of left on the table. It's, oh, I mean, like, I don't know. I was chatting earlier with some other friends about best picture winners during the 90s, and if we're being 100emoji.gov with ourselves right now, the best picture winners of the 90s are kind of a mess. You know, American Beauty, Shakespeare in Love, Braveheart, Forrest Gump,
Ugh.
Dances with Wolves. Like, there was a lot happening.
Also, there was that trend of intellectually disabled adults as the headliners for films. Like you had Rayman, obviously. I Am Sam. The World According to Garp.
Yeah, it was a mess. I don't know if I can say materially that Forrest Gump is worse than Braveheart. Mel Gibson is not in this movie. I'll give it that. Uh, but like, it's, I don't know. Like, there's just a lot of stuff in here that feels very 90s. You know, I mentioned that it has that reevaluation section on its reception, and the thing that struck me when I was reading that, I was reading through the Wikipedia page, is that I'm going to read it out loud because that's the thing that I think is important to hear. Like, in 2015, the Hollywood Reporter polled hundreds of Academy members asking them to revote on past controversial decisions. Academy members said that given a second chance, they award the 1994 Oscar for Best Picture to The Shawshank Redemption instead. And like, that's the thing about movies like Forrest Gump winning Best Picture. I can usually stomach when they pick something other than what I would have picked. You know, I'm a fucking crazy person. Who cares what I think? But like, when you have 5 nominees and you're like, there's one wrong answer here, and they pick that one, you're just like, man. The other options, by the way, were Four Weddings and a Funeral, Pulp Fiction, Quiz Show, and The Shawshank Redemption.
We could have watched The Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, The Shawshank Redemption was one of the nominees. Did it even win anything that year?
It should have. I like that movie.
Yeah.
That is a very good movie. Hey, that was the year Ed Wood won something. We like Ed Wood. I like Ed Wood. You don't have to like Ed Wood.
Sad.
I don't think The Shawshank Redemption is not eligible for this podcast.
Unfortunately.
That's terrible. Is The Green Mile eligible? I like that one.
It should be like didn't Michael Duncan Clark didn't win anything for it, did he?
I'm checking. Accolades. Nope. Green Mile's also not eligible.
Damn. People had bad taste.
People had bad taste.
Well, yeah, this movie is kind of tone deaf at best, and like it can be a little bit white savory at worst, especially with the him as with Well, you do have that scene where Elvis is like one of the boarders at Mama Gump's boarding house, and him learning how to do the dance from Forrest when he really learned it from black people or stole it from black people to be more accurate. And like even if also if Forrest isn't even aware of racial discrimination, he still has like privilege as a white man in the South. He still does get points for calling Governor Wallace an angry little man, even though the bar's in hell.
Governor Wallace was in fact an angry little man, and it is a shame that of the people who got shot after interacting with Forrest, he's the one who lived.
Ah.
Actually, now that you say that, that reminds me.
Go ahead.
Richard Nixon lived.
Oh yeah.
Richard Nixon did live, but he did suffer a horrible misfortune.
He resigned. He resigned in disgrace, but he still lived.
I was gonna say, yeah, he did get screwed over in response, but you know.
There's several moments in this movie where they basically just sort of like, oh yeah, this important thing in history, Forrest just did that, and I'm like,
I like that bit.
And he's not even doing it on purpose. It's like completely on accident. It's like he has no idea what was going on. Like during that
the Watergate break-in.
that lockdown event when they were trying to stop the black students from coming in. Where were my notes on that?
I mean, the example I was thinking of there is the Watergate break-in, which is, I don't know, like it oscillates between being very funny and kind of like irritating depending on the event. The bit where he invents the smiley face and shit happens is a lot more fun for me than like,
Yeah.
is Forrest Gump God? History is moved only by Forrest Gump.
I don't like the implications of that. It's like I don't know. It brings to mind that scene of Lieutenant Dan going, "Have you found Jesus yet?" I don't like the implications of that.
I like. Well, no, Forrest can't be God because he found God in the ocean.
That's true.
Hmm.
But he didn't know he's supposed to be looking for him, though.
Do any of us?
True. How do we as a group feel about Lieutenant Dan? I've said that I think he's the best part of this movie.
I like him.
I do like him. He's like the only one who knows like how weird and how crazy it is, and he's like rallying and raging, and like I like that he gets to do that.
Yeah.
I do have in my notes that he is the Frank Grimes to Forrest Gump's Homer Simpson, to put this in painfully millennial terms. I don't know, like I think I definitely think he has the most interesting character arc. As I said, it's kind of annoying that like, you know, the Bubba Gump Shrimp Company. Sidebar: did Bubba think about literally anything other than shrimp ever?
I have no idea. I wish they had given him more to do because, well, in the book he was portrayed as a lot more intelligent and sarcastic. I know that the actor playing him like decided to like tone it down so that he was more on Forrest's level, so they could have that sort of like kindred spirit connection. But I don't know. It happens with a lot of black characters in the '90s. It's like very one note, and like you're doomed by the narrative.
Yeah, the movie is occasionally just like a hair too cute about foreshadowing. You know, him talking about how he wants to go on a shrimp boat, and Forrest will be his first mate, and you know Gary Sinise's character Lieutenant Dan talking about how you gotta protect your feet. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
Of course, you know, whenever you go to a new place, you gotta make a fist with your toes. That's a story Lieutenant Dan told me.
Hmm.
Okay.
Well, at least one good thing did come out of it. Like Gary Sinise, he eventually very established the foundation to help U.S. military vets, and then he would do PSA for suicide hotlines aimed at veterans in character as Lieutenant Dan, and he has the Lieutenant Dan band who performs at U.S. veteran events. So, if anything were to come out of this movie, I'm glad that at least this kind of good came out from it.
I was simply saying that like it is a little frustrating that like, you know, he joins Bubba Gump Shrimp Company. He's still raging. The storm happens. He's still raging. And then like the next time he has a line, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm chill. I'm good with it now."
Yeah, that was it. You just need like a rage fest, and then that's it. Like I do think like I do know that well, this is pretty much Forrest's story, and you're seeing this from his point of view. So obviously, there's going to be like a big leap between what he's seeing and what's actually going on in reality. Like that scene where he's imagining like all of Lieutenant Stan's ancestors dying in battle, and they all look like him.
I think in between that and the scene where Tom Hanks plays Nathan Bedford Forrest. I think Forrest just thinks that you look exactly like your ancestors.
Mm.
I think that the notion that Lieutenant Dan feels like he has a destiny and that Forrest denied him is, again, it's a very interesting one, especially since Forrest feels very much like he's a character just sort of blown about by destiny. But again, they kind of just drop it, and then he shows up at the end with prosthetic legs and a new wife or fiance or whatever.
Fiance.
We don't really have much from Gary Sinise these days, unfortunately.
Other than he was in a certain propaganda show. We know this.
As I say, apparently he's a lead on one of the CSIs.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I'm looking at his Wikipedia page. What do you mean season 4 of 13 Reasons Why? What do you mean 13 Reasons Why? I'm not dealing with that right now.
They were dealing with the repercussions of having watched Forrest Gump. He
Uh,
made a cameo appearance.
yeah.
We are skipping over the repercussions of 13 Reasons Why and recontextualizing back onto Forrest Gump. No, we're gonna talk about 13 Reasons Why. Okay. No. A show which takes suicide about as seriously as Forrest Gump takes suicide. Bam, we're back on topic.
Like that scene where Jenny is on the ledge, holding up, and it shows the cars going by into the intersection. I had such a vertigo moment. I have such a fear of heights that I was just holding my breath the entire time. I was just waiting for Jenny to eventually come down, and when the second that she stumbled, I just
Robert Zemeckis, for all that I feel like he has become a stunningly bad storyteller at this point in his career. I don't say that with any relish. I like Robert Zemeckis movies. I Want to Hold Your Hand, Romancing the Stone, The Back to the Futures, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Death Becomes. I like those movies a lot. He has not made a movie I liked since Castaway in the year 2000. By the way, Mr. Zemeckis, if you're listening, hi. 3 things. 1, I really like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. 2, don't ever let them make a legacy sequel to Back to the Future. And 3, I saw Here in theaters and I want my fucking money back, Robert.
Do we want to know?
No. We're not dealing with Here. Here is, hold on. Here is definitely not eligible for this podcast. We don't have to deal with it. I did not see Welcome to Marwen in theaters. I did see it on Blu-ray. I did see it online, so I didn't pay for it. I would still like my money back.
He is good at those little tension moments with Jenny. I was holding my breath all throughout that scene where Jenny was chasing them through the cornfields. I was just ready to hit him with a rock.
Right, he's a good director. He is good at developing tension. I honestly wonder if a lesser director would have just by making the comedic scenes more comedic and the dramatic scenes less dramatic, might have massaged the tone a little bit better.
Well, I know that there were other directors that could have been involved. I have it here in my notes. Where is this? I took too many notes. Okay, Ivan Reitman, Penny Marshall, Terry Gilliam. They all passed on this before Robert Zemeckis was hired, and apparently Barry Sondheim. Wait, Barry Sonnenfeld? Is that how you pronounce it?
I don't know the name. 1 second. Barry Sonnenfeld?
Yeah. He was originally attached to Forrest Gump, but then he left to direct Addams Family Values.
Barry Sonnenfeld is not a super acclaimed director. He's got a few decent movies under his belt. Terry Gilliam's Forrest Gump is one of those ideas that fascinates me.
I think he would take it to the more fantastical route. More Big Fish than anything.
Honestly, the actual thing I was thinking of is the closest thing Terry Gilliam has to a Forrest Gump is The Adventures of Baron Munchausen.
Yes, that one.
Which is that movie scared the piss out of me as a kid. And that's the thing, I feel like a Terry Gilliam version of this movie would be a lot more mean-spirited. Barry Sonnenfeld made me think that what other directors were up and comers in the mid 90s. I'm can you imagine a Coen Brothers Forrest Gump? Just how
I think that would fit the tone better.
The Coen brothers are actually like a really good example of directors who, in my opinion, are extremely good at threading the needle between really dramatic and really comedic scenes. I think next year after this is nope, 2 years after this then. Yeah, the 69th Nice Academy Awards. We have Fargo, which is a movie that is occasionally extremely dramatic and occasionally extremely funny, often in the same moment. They are very good at navigating that tone. I think that Robert Zemeckis is more of a comedic director. I mentioned all those movies of his that I like, and they are by and large just kind of comedies.
Hmm.
And I think that the dramatic scenes are where this movie falls down. I think that Tom Hanks is too good at selling the dramatic stuff, and it kind of undercuts the kind of doofy tone of the movie to have him like the scene at Jenny's grave. People talk about that scene because he's really good in that scene.
Yeah.
Even if like I'm sitting there watching it and I part of my brain, the little mean spirited part of my brain is hearing Mike Myers go, and I never learned to read.
Apparently, though, I don't know. Like, I know that Hanks is kind of like quintessential to Forrest, but apparently there were others who were gonna play him. Like, I'm not sure where it is. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I know that the author, he said, like, since the movie took off some of the rough edges, he had originally envisioned Forrest being played by John Goodman, and then John Travolta was the original choice to play Forrest, and then later he passed on the role, and then Bill Murray, Chevy Chase, Robin Williams, Bill Paxton, and Matthew Broderick were also considered for the role. Ironically enough, Sean Penn had been the second choice for the role, but he would later go star in I Am Sam, which,
I am fascinated by the premise of a John Goodman Forrest Gump.
You know, I think Dan Aykroyd could have made this movie good.
oh, true.
I do like Dan Aykroyd. I'm just imagining like John Goodman in like full on Walter performance as Forrest Gump.
Honestly, that would have blended a bit better, I think.
I don't know. Like it's as I said, it's a hard movie to talk about sometimes because it's like I have trouble vocalizing what it is about it that kind of like frustrates me.
It's almost insensitive. Like, it's glossing over, like, the uglier parts of the history by, like, like by doing these little funny absurd moments on what ostensibly should be like a tragic moment in history.
Yeah, maybe if it was a little bit more. I mean, like, I'm sitting here bashing it for not being like mean spirited enough for my taste. Because, like, if I was thinking, like, maybe it would work better if it was a little bit more mean spirited. But also, like, it grossed nearly $700 million. What the fuck do I know? It is still one of the highest grossing Best Picture winners. If only because they don't actually gross all that much usually. Look, I love a lot of recent Best Picture winners. I really liked Honora, but let's not kid ourselves. Honora grossed $58 million. Like it was not a big smash hit the way this was. Why do you two think it was a big smash hit? Like what do you think audiences were responding to?
Um, Honestly, I wouldn't know. I feel like this is something distinctly American that someone who's not in that culture wouldn't grasp.
Sorry, I'm looking over its film gross to see.
I do know that like Tom Hanks made bank on it because they didn't like he didn't like get an actual salary. He just was promised a portion of the profits.
I'm just gonna Google it. What for a second. Okay, it got about half of its gross international. Like I was kind of wondering if it was like a big hit here, but middling overseas.
I don't know because I didn't really hear much about Forrest Gump when I was growing up. It was like only in connection to like Tom Hanks's film career and the fact that that it won Oscars. I never really heard anything else about it. Like it was not really talked about.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. Like there's a handful of movies. There's a handful of Best Picture winners where like they win Best Picture, and then like maybe a year or two passes, and people are immediately like, "Oh, what were we thinking with that one, huh, guys?"
Like I do think like a lot of Tom Hanks's performance is like what's pulling this. Like he is charming. There are times where I buy his performance, but I guess there's still that undercurrent of it being a caricature of developmental and intellectual disability that really rubs me the wrong way.
And boomer nostalgia, a lot of boomer nostalgia.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I was kind of Krissy. You're the closest we've got to this movie's shooter on this episode. Why do you think it grows so much?
Shooter. Well, I had my cousin in it.
Really?
Your cousin?
Yeah, my third cousin.
Huh.
Who did your cousin play?
Richard Nixon.
What?
No, it's true. It's a true to life fact.
I believe you. Can you get me into the White House? No.
No, he resigned actually.
Oh, why?
They had to change a fuse at this hotel.
No, like I'm actually like I was kind of hoping I would, when I last did a movie I hate episode, it was The Whale, and Justin turned out to really like the movie. I don't know. I guess I was kind of hoping that someone would come along and show me a new way of looking at it, even if I don't agree.
No, my new way of looking at it was I was a child when I watched it.
Oh yeah, because I know this was marketed towards kids, or at least it was like considered to be for kids, but it covers some pretty dark stuff in like a really light, sugary tone.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I know that was a big thing back in the day. They did have a lot of different media, but I mean, yeah. I'm sorry. I don't have anything I can say to redeem this.
I mean, you don't gotta redeem it. You're not responsible for this movie.
And besides, opinions change when you grow past a certain age. Obviously, what you see as a kid, you're going to understand differently as an adult.
I will say that Zandy mentioned, in his sort of like walking through commentary, that he first saw it when he was 6 years old. And because Forrest Gump was consistently on his mental level throughout, he did not pick up that Forrest was like developmentally disabled
Ah,
when he first watched it, which might explain why kids liked it.
that could be something. That could be it.
I can understand like seeing it first. I was about to ask Krissy how old you are, but I don't want to get power word aged.
You're not getting Power Word Age with me. I was 4 when this movie came out.
Oh wait, 4? Okay, so we're the same age. Krissy, don't do it. Krissy, don't do it.
Ellie, you were born in 1990?
Yes.
I'm 99. I'm 89. I mean,
I'm-
I'm technically a little older than you.
I'm 89.
I'm 90. In fact, this episode is coming out 1 second.
2080.
A little over a week before my birthday. So I will be 36 about a week after this episode comes out.
Oh, wow, okay. I didn't know I was surrounded by so many old people.
Ow.
Well, can you blame me? You're like 14 years older.
Oh God, I asked you not to do that. Oh fuck.
No, yeah.
Krissy, you will pay for what you have done. Okay, so like by the time like my mom didn't like this movie either, so like I didn't watch it as a kid. By the time I watched it, I was basically an adult. I'm like, what the fuck is this? So yeah, I guess if you saw it when you were young, you might have like I can see liking it as a kid. I will give it that. It portrays complex emotions simply enough that I think kids could probably vibe with it.
Also, I don't know. I don't. For the adults that were watching this around this time period, I think it might have been a bit of a nostalgia boner.
Boomer nostalgia was like an extremely powerful force
Yeah.
in the 90s, and I feel like this was kind of like one of its last major gasps.
Yeah, it's sort of like the last major gasps of like Mrs. Gump being like part of that's dying southern lineage of like genteel class, because I'm pretty sure that house is like a plantation house,
Yup.
and she keeps a black housekeeper.
Yup. I was in my attempts to inject to come at this movie with the Yuri injection was like, is that like your? No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not doing that to this movie. You, Robert Zemeckis, your movie has not earned the Yuri injection.
Mm,
That's rough.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think. Yeah, Yuri would not have made this better.
Actually, I have a question.
Fire away.
Does this movie pass the Bechdel test?
No.
I didn't think it did.
There are not enough women in it for it to do that.
The only two women who really, who speak to each, they never speak to each other. The only real two female characters who have more than one scene are Mama Gump and
And Jenny.
Jenny, who only ever either talk to men or about Forrest. And aside from that, the only two women who talk to each other are the two prostitutes, or I don't know if they're supposed to be actually prostitutes, but like the two
I think they're escorts.
Ooh, that's a good point.
the two women that Lieutenant Dan picks up on New Year's Eve, who only ever really talk to each other about Forrest or Dan.
The bars in hell.
Yeah, I know you're right. I was trying to think of if there was anything else they talked about, but yeah, I think that's about it.
No, unfortunately, there are not very many women, and like even like
Well, actually, Bubba's mother, when she got her own servant, she thanked her. So that's something.
well, yeah, she's not working in white people's kitchen anymore. She gets to be served for once. So good for her.
Good for her. So the Bechdel test is not a perfect test of a movie's feminism. I mentioned Fargo a few minutes ago, and I think it's been like, I can't recall if it's 100%, but like Fargo probably does. I don't think Fargo passes the Bechdel test in that the only conversation two women have is about a man, but the main character is a woman, and most people consider her to be a very strong, very intelligent, very empathetic character
Who's doing the investigation while she's pregnant?
who is doing the investigation while she's pregnant and is also extremely funny. Hot take: Fargo, good movie.
I've never seen Fargo.
Okay, so you're gonna be you're gonna be on another episode when they eventually cover that.
Yeah, I'm dragging you on for that one.
There's so many movies I haven't seen.
I have not seen Fargo either.
Hey, I've got lots of options then.
Ooh.
Fargo is quite a good movie. That is my ending thoughts. Any final thoughts on Forrest Gump from Shammy or Krissy?
Oh, I could read through. I got a lot of notes on here because there are some deleted scenes that didn't make it. I think this would have made the movie worse. There is a scene where Forrest comes upon a confrontation between the police and the Selma marchers. He unintentionally diffuses the situation by playing fetch with the police dogs. After which he apologizes to Martin Luther King for disrupting the parade.
Eep.
Cutting this was a smart move. Like, don't step on MLK. Also, like, the filmmakers found footage of George H.W. Bush, who was the ambassador to China at the time, getting hit in the crotch while playing ping pong. And they did think this was, like, too good not to use in the movie. Like, before it was cut, the effects team had already done a lot of work putting Tom Hanks into the footage when the decision came.
I think they, just like all of us, just really wanted to see a member of the Bush family hitting the balls.
Yes! Honestly, this would have fit the tone more. And then, let me see where are the rest of my notes. Okay. Stop making Forrest meet the presidents. Even I know that Lyndon B. Johnson and Richard Nixon are the worst.
Well, he's my cousin. You saying that about my cousin?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're canceling Richard Nixon, Krissy, I'm sorry to say.
Damn.
Cancel culture run amok.
Okay, let's see. The opening scene with the feather. I just thought of the Phineas and Ferb episode parodying it with the flying fedora and just went, oh, that's where they got the inspiration from.
Robert Zemeckis loves doing very long opening shots, very long, very elaborate opening shots. You know, the one from Back to the Future famously basically sets up every Chekhov's gun in the movie. But I don't know. This one's just like, I guess the premise is that it's like that Forrest is like the feather, kind of just blown around by forces beyond his control.
And kind of Jenny, because we do have that scene where she's praying in the field about being a bird so she can fly away.
The framing device in general is just kind of odd in that it consists primarily of Forrest harassing people at the bus stop, which, as someone who takes public transportation to work every day, do not talk to me. Do not talk to me when I'm on public transportation
I
on
know.
my way to or from work.
I know, that poor black lady sitting next to Forrest.
I like that she is alone among all of the people he talks to, just utterly unwilling to put up with him.
Yeah, she's just reading her magazine, as she should.
You know what? I really wish they had more segments where the people just cut into the middle of the story and is like, no, you didn't do that.
It would be extremely funny. Like, part of me, the first time I saw this movie when I was like 20, I was waiting for the moment where he's like, and then I went to China to play ping pong. No, you didn't. I watched the Olympics. Shut the fuck up.
It's a shame because I know they did it a couple times, like where the woman butted in saying, "Oh yeah, I remember the day where they shot Warren," and then the guy who commented on just Bubba Gump apparently actually being a thing. But I wish that the movie. I think it would give it more depth if there was question on if he actually made up parts of it or not, or misremembered it. Because I think that would be.
Yeah,
I would have liked that a lot.
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
It would have added something to the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like maybe ground it in the right sort of reality, like saying, oh, "Are you sure you're remembering that correctly?" Instead of just like taking everything at face value. Also, like I did find it interesting that we're introduced to Forrest feet up. Like he's well dressed and neat, but his shoes are covered in mud. Considering what we learn about it, it wouldn't surprise me if he ran all the way there to visit Jenny. And guess what? I was right.
I think that, like, again, Robert Zemeckis is a good director, even though I feel like he has gone downhill as a coherent storyteller. And I think that, like, that is a very good way to introduce him. It tells you a lot about him right away.
Mm.
And I think that I think that he does that kind of a lot. He's very good at instantly getting you to grok what a character is about. You know, once you gel into a director's style, you can tell how they like to give you a lot of information in a short amount of time about a character, like how David Fincher likes to show you the inside of a character's fridge. And I think that Zemeckis is good at that. I think that this isn't the movie that broke Zemeckis's brain. The ongoing theory among a lot of people is that the cut in Castaway where they had to stop production for 6 months so that Tom Hanks could lose a ton of weight basically broke Zemeckis's brain, because like there was shit he just couldn't do, and he just wanted to like take actors out of the equation. I wonder if that's like the desire to alter history to include Forrest started that particular snowball rolling.
Also, now I have to worry about what happens with Jenny's sisters because they weren't with their grandma afterwards. Like, did they go to other relatives or did they end up in foster care?
Who knows? Forrest is very devoted to thinking only about Jenny. I do feel like the way Mama Gump is established, I do feel like a pretty coherent way to have handled that is like Forrest mentions it offhanded to Mrs. Gump, and she essentially goes, "Excuse the fuck me."
Yeah, she should have been going in there guns blazing.
But again, like part of the problem I take with it is that like they work extremely hard to keep Forrest from ever grokking what the fuck is going on with Jenny, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
It kind of makes him a less interesting character than he would be otherwise.
Jenny, you're another woman doomed by the narrative. You deserve better than being a vessel for Book Forest's negative qualities.
Yeah.
Okay, Jenny was also the one who told Forrest to run, and that's what she's been doing her whole life, running away from her trauma instead, trying to confront it.
Yeah, I think that I was about to make a crack about how we need to do a reinterpretation of Forrest Gump from Jenny's perspective, but
No.
that
That would be depressing.
I was saying, like, then I realized that basically I'm asking for yet another legacy sequel, and
This doesn't need a legacy sequel. We already have a sequel that's been in development hell for 14 years.
I think I just broke out in hives thinking about legacy sequels. I have to go treat this. Shammy, do you have anything you want to plug?
You can find me on the Alheim Muse on Tumblr. I make the graphics for our friends' podcasts, In Each Retelling and 6 Degrees of Star Wars. If you like my work and want to commission me, come hit me up.
Krissy, do you have anything you would like to plug?
I'd like to plug my friend Bryce, who is, after this podcast, forcing me to read Alison Bechtel.
Fuck yeah. Fun Home's really good.
That's the one.
And also, if I have a copy of The Complete Dykes to Watch Out For, also very worth reading. Which, ironically enough, does not include the strip that invented the Bechtel test, because she's as fucking sick of that strip as all of us.
As always, you can find me, Ellie, on Tumblr at Football in Tuxedos with dashes between the words. You can find me on Blue Sky, Medium, and Letterboxd at LSR42. And you can find this podcast on Blue Sky at Biggest Night Pod. We are available on both Spotify and YouTube. And if you follow us on YouTube, be sure to give us a subscribe, maybe like and comment on the videos so that you can tell me which parts you like and which parts you don't.
And thanks to both Shammy and Krissy for coming out and talking for, Jesus Christ, this is a long one, a while about Forrest Gump. But, you know, all good things must come to an end. We're back to randomly determining episodes, at least for the moment. And so we're kicking off our first randomly determined episode of 2026 off right with a 4-way crossover, including all of our guest hosts from the other pods. We are talking about the 1935 adaptation of A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Nice.
Hope to see you there.
Life is like a box of chocolates. A cheap, thoughtless, perfunctory gift that no one ever asks for. Unreturnable because all you get back is another box of chocolates. So you're stuck with mostly undefinable whipped mint crap mindlessly wolfed down when there's nothing else to eat while you're watching the game. Sure, once in a while you get a peanut butter cup or an English toffee, but it's gone too fast and the taste is fleeting. In the end, you're left with nothing but broken bits filled with hardened jelly and teeth-shattering nuts, which, if you're desperate enough to eat, leaves nothing but an empty box of useless brown paper wrappers.